Good afternoon. Just want to start by just saying we're very thankful to be 2-0 and proud of our guys for responding in the second half. Go through the players of the game. As we always go through and talk about those guys, scout team players that give us such a great effort each week, defensive scout players of the game, Caden Turner, offensive scout team player of the week, Ricky Tamus, special team scout of the week, Mitchell Evans, offensive player of the game, Sean Shivers, defensive player of the game, Dassan McCullough, and special teams players, both James Evans and Anderson Kobe. Just once again, just think Coach Ack's doing a great job there, and told him that after the game, and just want to make sure that understand our guys understand where we're at, what we got to do. So pretty clear about that after the game. So bottom line is that we're excited about this opportunity coming up here in Western Kentucky, coming to Bloomington. Tyson Helton's done a great job there, number one offense in the nation last year, won their bowl game in a dominant way, and play really aggressive on defense, got a lot of athletes, do a tremendous job, got a really talented quarterback, transferred in that's won a national championship in his pedigree, and a lot of talented receivers and running backs, and a good offensive line, really good group up front, without question, very well coached defensively, causes a lot of takeaways, a lot of disruption. And so really excited about having a noon kickoff. We've had 2 late night games that makes for a long day for our guys. I know our guys are excited about that as well. Excited to be able to be back home again for a third time in a row. So appreciate those that withstood the weather to cheer us on and support us. Much appreciated. Need a big crowd on Saturday to be able to help our guys play a really good football team. Got to play our best. Got to be able to put together our best effort for 4 quarters from start to finish. Questions?
I guess, Tom, I feel like we asked this, immediately after the game. But when you do get a game where maybe you feel like, your team's intensity wasn't where it needed to be, focus wasn't where it needed to be, but you also get the result ultimately in the end. Like, what as a coach do you want to see in the next 72, 96 hours in terms of whether it's closing the book on that game, whether it's responding to something specifically? Like, what do you want to see from a team, whoever the next opponent is, in terms of maybe self-correcting some of that?
Yeah, I think what you want to see is tremendous focus. Wasn't an effort issue, but tremendous focus. I thought I saw that today during our walkthrough and our lifts and meetings, just understanding the situation as far as just how we kind of recapped it to our team and emphasize the things that we did well, emphasize the things that we need to correct, and then come back on Tuesday and have a really, really physical, high energy, highly focused practice, and then do it again on Wednesday. And to me, that's the way you want your team to respond, because those opportunities are great chances to learn. Yes, fortunate to be able to learn after a win, which was doesn't always happen, and I think that's where your player-led piece comes in. The leadership of this group, challenging those guys and being able to pull those guys aside, and so. But I do think that that was. I believe they're going to respond the correct way, and so excited for us to be able to keep getting better, and that's the key. So, but that's what you want to see. You want to see it's a daily thing. It can't just be, you show up and there's no magic switch that you turn on. No, the switch has had to be on today, and it's on again tomorrow, and it's continuous, and to allow our guys to prepare at a level for us to play our best football from start to finish.
Tom, as far as just sort of maintaining that focus, does it make a difference that you're playing a Western Kentucky team that gave you trouble last year? And what's the same and what's different about them? Obviously, they changed coordinators.
Yeah, I think there's no question. I mean, your point is well stated, and that is obviously my emphasis as well. I mean, our guys understand fully who they're playing, and last year was a dogfight down there at their place, and we were fortunate to come out with a win. And so the system has stayed the same. head coach is now running the offense, and so don't expect to see a lot of different things schematically. They got some different personnel, got a new quarterback, very, very talented player. Kind of found a very similar guy, in terms of the way he's able to run that offense and just playmakers everywhere. And they're going to play, with a certain level of tempo and the way they're going to stretch you, laterally, vertically, all the different things that their system does. And so, yeah, they gave a lot of people. We went through and go through and try to find different games, that from the past season, and really nobody really slowed them down, So they had a lot of points and a lot of yards in every single game, which is the reason why they're number one offense in the nation. So in about every category. But so I just think you're going to see a very similar style. They've done some things a little bit differently, maybe in the run game this year, but at the same time, they have their system, they believe in it, and they're going to play it to a high level. So it's impressive to watch. There's no doubt. Coach Shelton's done a tremendous job.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Aaron Casey. I know he was obviously selected to honor George Taliaferro this season. I guess simply, what did he do? What does he do that made you feel like he was the right guy to have that honor?
I think that it's his character, on and off the field. I just think he's the kind of person that has a sense of, knows who he is, knows what he believes, stays true to that, is consistent in what he brings every single day, is a great teammate. Whatever role he's given, whatever he's been asked to do since he's been here, he does it with tremendous effort, toughness, and he is a mentally and physically tough guy. Showed up in the game on Saturday night, and just want to make sure that we give it to a young man that just embodies that spirit that George had, and just what he brought to this campus when he came here, and just a guy that's a tough fighter that just believes in his heart certain things and isn't going to be strayed by that. So just really appreciate Aaron Casey and everything that he's done for our program, and I'm excited for him to be able to. He's playing his best football and has done a great job for us and stayed true here and continued to battle and didn't have his best season a year ago and responded by that by having a great offseason. So I just felt like that he embodies all those persevering qualities that made George Taliaferro so special.
Coach, Saturday was the first game in a while without Matt Bedford on the offensive line. Just how do you think the group as a whole responded to that loss, and also specifically Parker in his first games?
Yeah, I thought they responded well. We ran the football a lot better than we needed to, and felt like that. As we always say with that group, there's a chemistry involved. So not having Matt we knew was going to be challenging and create some issues that we have to learn to work through. But I thought they played well together, ran the ball well, gave our quarterback time to throw, and did a good job. I thought Parker did a nice job. And they had some defensive ends that we were concerned about athletically that could create some issues, and did so the week before as well. And their just ability to disrupt was what we were concerned about. So I thought the guys did a good job covering them up and creating some creases for our running backs to run through. And we ran for 239 yards and 6.6 yards a carry, which is really important, for us to be able to do that. And so that starts up front, and they get obviously all the criticism when it doesn't happen, and they should be given the praise when it does. So, but they got to keep working hard together. Going to face bigger, more athletic groups as we go through these next several weeks, and so they got to continue to gel and mesh and work together. And Parker, to me, is a smart, tough, dependable guy. So I expect him to just keep getting better.
Coach, I wanted to ask you real quick, back here, sorry. I wanted to ask you real quick about DJ Matthews, obviously coming back off that ACL tear last year against Western, and being able to just be the person he is as well as the player he's been so far for you guys this season. I know he's also been a father off the field, balancing that, being a student. What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, he's a special young man, and he and I have spent a lot of time together and just trying to help him grow as a man. And I got so much respect for him. He does have a lot going on. And just the way he's battled through all that, the ups and downs of that, the recovery, a long, very difficult recovery that injury entails. And then as a speed guy, you rely on his quickness and his ability to get in and out of breaks to to make him special. And so that's obviously a big part of that type of injury coming back from that. So, and I thought in the game on Saturday night, I mean, he was, obviously made some visible plays, but just his leadership and just his desire to, step up and get this thing going, when we needed him to, and make those big plays. And the catch he had on that sideline there was pretty impressive. And then he followed out with a one-handed catch after that, So, but that's what has to happen. Guys like that, your best players got to step up when the team needs someone to make a play. He was the guy that rose to that occasion, So I just have so much respect for what he's been through, the way he stayed the course. There's a grit piece to him. There's a toughness to him, even though he's not big in stature, that makes him who he is. And I think that's there's the obvious skill set, talents that he has that are pretty unique, and his ball skills and his just understanding spacing and being able to kind of maneuver around defenders and catch balls the way he does is impressive. But I love his heart. I love his his passion for what he does, and it's his family and what he's been called to do. And so to me, it's just trying to help him continue to grow, because things are never easy and throughout life, and just trying to help him maneuver through that and guide and direct him. And he's one of those that wants that, and he's been great for me to be able to spend a lot of time with, because he's really appreciative of that and wants it, and so I just I love who he is as a man, and obviously he's a gifted player that we need to continue to step up and keep leading this football team.
Coach, a few familiar faces on the Western Kentucky roster this year, specifically Davion Irwin Poindexter at running back. What are you expecting to see from him and just kind of that rushing attack as a whole? Yeah,
so Davion, really so proud of him. We really, when he was here for us as a walk-on and just worked so hard and had to play last year and just tried to help him find an opportunity to go and get a scholarship, and so he's able to do that. I just really appreciate his work ethic, his perseverance, he's got some of the same qualities I was talking about with DJ, and just worked his way. He was a really good high school player and developed himself into a really good college player. So he's made some really nice runs. He's one of their leading playmakers on offense, and that's exciting for him. And they've got several running backs they play with. Like I said, they've got an expanded run game that they really didn't have as much last year schematically that they're now utilizing. So that makes them more things to stop and to scheme against. So, but yeah, they got three players that they rotate in there. They play them all pretty equally, and they're all able to catch and run and block and do the things they need to do. So, really proud of him. And yeah, we got to go find a way to stop him.
You talked about the offensive line, but specifically, I'd seen Luke Haggard is grading really highly in terms of pass blocking, like nationally. I guess, what have you seen from him so far, and how important is, when you have other spots in the offensive line in flux, how important is it to have a veteran presence like that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, every position, leadership matters. Veteran leadership is even more valuable, and I just think that that's what he brings, and it's the consistency and the toughness and just the steadiness there. And even though may not be a real verbal person, but just the play speaks for itself in so many ways, and at that position for sure, and that consistency, and just the strength and the size and the length and all the different things you have. But to me, I just think that we talk so much about the culture of our program and then just the culture in each room, and that's a big, we use the phrase 11 strong. You got the 10 positions on offense, 10 on defense, and then specialists are the 11th group. And so everybody has to understand that culture is the responsibility of each position coach, and that each position coach within that group has to develop those leaders. We have leaders from each group that's on our leadership council by design, and we talk to those guys by those groups by design to be able to get that, to take it back to the group, and be able to infuse, the leadership within those guys, and then affect the whole side of the football and ultimately the whole team. So just trying to get that, and I think it's critical. And the more older guys you got that are strong in their daily habits and work ethic that they bring every day, and guys are consistent in that, really creates, hey, that's the standard. So when the young guys come in here, they just get pulled into it, and because they understand that, hey, that's how it's going to be expected for me to practice here. I'm going to lift here, I'm going to run here, I'm going to train here, and I'm going to study film. So he does a great job with that.
Tom, evaluate the defensive side of the ball after 2 ball games at this point, and did you cut back on the missed tackles on Saturday? Were you more pleased with that aspect of it? And then I know you were not pleased with a couple of late scores in the ball
Yeah.
game and some things that happened there, but just an evaluation there.
Yeah, that kind of really soured my perspective on how we played, to be honest with you, especially the last one. But we definitely cut down the tackles, missed tackles. Okay, there were much fewer of those, which is great. Thought we played really hard. I mean, we were trying to find guys that weren't bursting to the ball in every way. So, but what we did, though, we had some execution mistakes, that I thought was lack of focus, and that to me was like not acceptable. And a couple of them were older guys. Matter of fact, we gave up 2 touchdowns that were just blown assignments, and we can't do that. So that was frustrating to me. And but that goes back to the mental side of it. It wasn't a physical mistake. It was just more not getting your eyes in the right spot, not executing, and your eyes just not being locked in. So, but I think we still got to work hard on our run fits. We did better, but here's the thing for us. We don't do things. We're not a traditional, run fit type system. So we do things maybe a little unique in some ways. And so the new guys that are with us now, I think they're still getting better at that and still getting and understanding how we do that and how that's supposed to fit up. And so if one guy doesn't do it the correct way, it kind of goes from where you can really kind of smother them to get some leakage there. And we've had some of that leakage that we got to keep working on. We worked on it again this morning. So I think that it was some progress with that, but also not quite there yet. And every week we got to keep getting better. So, but we talk about takeaways, tackling, and effort. Well, the effort was phenomenal. Okay, it was the takeaways didn't come, and that's a big negative. We had one that we lost because of the penalty, which would have been a huge one, but didn't get the takeaways. But I just didn't think we had that same edge about us mentally to allow us to be a step ahead of some things, And so that's what we got to be that way, and that's where I was disappointed in that, and told the guys that, and we pointed them out. Matter of fact, we showed clips. This is what we got to be able to address and fix and clean up. And then we went out and did it on the field today to correct some of those things, the mistakes that we made, and don't expect those to happen again. So, but progress without question. Just don't like giving up those last 2 touches. I mean, to me, we should have shut them out in the second half. So that was my whole goal coming out at halftime, and that's why I wasn't happy. Still not.
Asking about Dassan, and without wanting to kind of put the cart before the horse, I know it's only been 2 games, but just his blend of I guess, the physical tools, the length, the wingspan, and also just maybe his mental approach to the game. Is there anybody in your past he reminds you of in terms of, where his potential is, the way he can affect the game from, a number of different positions on defense? Yeah,
I would have to say that he's pretty unique. I've not coached a player, I would say, we had one at Ole Miss, I think, that could play the bowl position and could play linebacker. His name was C.J. Johnson, and he was, but not as long as Dassan, And so, but really the only one that's been probably close to that type of a skill set that can do those different things. And it's a unique combination of length, athleticism, and what I would consider is a high football IQ mixed in with a really strong work ethic. So it's a good combination. And just got to keep bringing him along. And like you said, it's only been 2 games, and so but he's done a good job of progressing each week. And but like I said, I feel the way I do because of how he prepares. And so I expect that to continue to grow and develop each week as he grows as a player. And that was only his second college game he's ever played in. And so, but you kind of can see those, the twitchiness and ability to, because of his arm length, he's able to, get his hands up on balls and grab people, and they don't get away from him once he gets a hold of them. So he's got, even though he's not 250 pounds, he's 225 pounds or in that range, he's got good core strength to him, and so that's, it's exciting. But he's got a lot of hard work ahead of him, and he knows that, and he's got to keep humble and hungry, and that's going to be his focus. I know it is for him, but I'm excited to have him, in our program, and have been ever since he decided to come here, and really knew he had a chance to be a good player, and he's got to keep building every week.
Hey, Coach, you talked about Sean Shiver's South Florida attitude after the game and also mentioned Walt Bell in that same aspect. I was wondering if you could elaborate on Bell. What is it about him that kind of gives off that attitude? And was there a time where it kind of clicked that you knew that he was the guy you needed on offense?
Well, I think the thing that really, sticks sticks out to me about what he brings is just there's a lot of confidence that he has in what he's doing and understands the system, the adjustments, the things that you can anticipate what people are going to try and do to you. And so, but there's just belief, there's core confidence. That's probably the key phrase, core confidence in what you're doing, in your system, and the way you decide to attack things. And that rubs off on the coaches, that rubs off on the players, it rubs off on everybody in the program. And I just know that there has to be that belief that individual is going to be able to, put us in a position. Now, players got to make those plays. I felt like we had some, previous week, just go to the other side of the football. You say, hey, you made some good calls. I said, no, the guys made good plays. I mean, if they don't execute the calls, it really doesn't matter, right? And so we didn't execute some calls that should have been, I thought, good plays on Saturday night, ended up in some scores. And so, the opposite happened a week ago, so same on offense, is the guys got to execute. So, but but when they believe that you are going to put them in the right spot, then it creates a whole level of confidence that they know, hey, if I just do what he tells me to do and I play really hard, then good things are going to happen. And so I think he brings that, to our guys. And so, and part of that is just having answers for things, so not necessarily verbal, but schematic, and I think he brings that. And I felt like, that was a quality that stuck out to me when, going against him. I think I've said this before, I know I have, but when you defend somebody as a coordinator, and you study them and you call plays against them during the games, it gives you a chance to see a lot, and you also see a history, a pattern, a style of certain things. So that to me is what stuck out about him, even though I didn't know him really personally before the whole process started to be able to get him to meet with us. But at the same time, I knew him as a play caller and what he was able to do with that. So just got to, it's just like everything else. We got to continue to grow each week, and our offense has got to continue to get better. We got to continue to be more consistent, and we got to start fast and finish strong, and play consistent football, from start to finish. And so we're not there yet, haven't done it yet, haven't played 4 quarters yet as a team, and that's what's going to be demanded next.
Coach, back here, you talked a few times about how this year being more player-led and that focus on things, and a lot of the guys who are stepping up into those leadership roles are guys who were here last year. What have you seen from them trying to kind of keep that focus and keep them away from losing that focus that you've talked a little bit about, kind of played you guys against Idaho?
Yeah, I think that, so I appealed to those guys, even at halftime, and challenge those guys, because that is the key, and that's, I do understand it's challenging to be that locked in all the time, and there's emotional, responses that you get as a human, in this, this sport, especially football, and it's hard to be up here all the time. And so, but the mental side of it has to stay, and that's the maturity that comes in, and trying to rely on our older guys to bring that, and so even in a week like this, like you said, you're playing a team that gave us fits last year. So there's a different sense of, hey, those guys on this team last year, they experienced what we did down there and how hard it was, and so they know that. And so I think that's where you rely on those guys to really rise up this week and help our guys. The film's pretty obvious that they're do some great things, and so, but we also lived it out as well. So I just don't, when we say player-led, that's just such a huge part of any great team. And every team has its own personality. Every team has its own characteristics and qualities that they have about them. And that's definitely one of the strengths of this team, but needs to continue to be that way. And so that's a big responsibility that I have, to be able to make sure those guys understand that. And whether it's our captains or our leadership council guys, they've been put in those positions for a reason. And we expect them to verbally and physically lead this football team, no matter what the situation is, the good, the bad, the up, the downs, whatever it happens to be. And that's what we're going to continue to rely on.
I'm just asking about Aaron Casey again. I guess, are there just any favorite stories you have that speaks to who he is? Or, you talked about him being a good teammate. I guess just what specifically does he do?
Well, to me, it started on special teams, and I think that, he was behind a really good player last year, As a matter of fact, there was, a couple guys that rotated maybe ahead of him the last several years, And so when you have a guy like that just doesn't waver. You know, he's not the guy that's over here complaining about not getting this or not getting that. I mean, now he doesn't speak a whole lot, so he's really quiet. But at the same time, I saw his performance on special teams. Because to me, that's really where the selflessness comes out. Because it's not like when you know, other than a specialist, I mean, you're not even listed in the program as a guy that plays special teams, right? You're listed as a linebacker or a receiver or running back, whatever. And so, yet it's a huge part of our team. And then the special teams drill work. And I talk a lot about that with our guys. And he showed up in those things. Because really, that's how, like even a guy like Anderson Cope, who played really, really well in special teams, you know, Saturday night, well, he was phenomenal during the drill work, you know, and that to me is what Aaron Casey did for a couple of years before he ever got a chance to really play. And Noah Pierre, same type of pattern, you know, with that kind of mindset to be able to just do whatever you got to do to help this team be successful. So to me, that's the story for me is, hey, he did this when nobody was really watching. You know, nobody's really talking about him. Nobody's really kind of, hey, he didn't come in here with a bunch of hype, you know, as a recruit. He just came in here as a really good football player that had a chance to develop. And so he's doing that. He takes care of his business in the classroom. He takes care of his business off the field, on the field, and he's just so steady. So I would say special teams is where he showed me that he had the qualities he was going to take to be great in this game, and then someone we can count on as a great teammate. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome day. Elio.